Hello, and welcome to Digital Publishing Online. And today's video, I would like to review with you some of the resources I've posted in the online classroom to help you get started with your first project, the Type Variations book. I'm going to refrain from mentioning specific weeks in these videos because a lot of times I use these videos for 8-week courses as well as 14-week courses. So the pacing of the course is a bit different. But what I have given you in the early part of the course is two resources, one being your textbook, something that you're going to have to purchase and you will need to succeed in this class. Um, you've already done one chapter, which I have provided for you in the first week of the course because I wanted to give you enough time to locate your book and get it in hand. All the remaining chapters that are due in this course in the book, you'll have to have your own textbook to work on. I will not be providing you with any more complimentary lessons. This lesson, lesson 3, is a really important lesson, and I highly recommend that you spend the committed time to sit down and work through all of the different steps and the different areas that this lesson covers. It tells you here that the lesson's going to take about 90 minutes to complete. And some students say, well, that's right on, and others say it took me longer than that. So again, it just depends on how quickly you follow through the different steps of the lesson. If you click past the lesson listing there, you'll see that this example right here on the left of my screen is uh, a picture of what the lesson will look like when it's finished. Well, at least one little section of it. It's not the whole lesson because you're actually creating a multi-page document and it's only showing 2 pages here. However, this lesson is going to review some very important material with you so that uh, you could take that material and move forward with starting to get started on your first project, which is the book, the Type Variations book. And it talks about how to get started with setting up pages in a multi-page document. It talks about working with master pages, which I'm going to review with you when I go through the videos on how to start setting up your pages in your book. You'll be using master pages, so it's important that you understand how useful they are and what they're used for, how they can make your workflow efficient. It will also talk about grids and guides and how to get yourself lined up and set up so that you can create a comprehensive layout that has consistency from one page to the next. There's also some information in here about setting up text frames for page numbers and placing placeholders on your master pages, which are areas of the master page which will indicate copy or imagery locations, but not actually house them. You will actually input that information on the actual pages themselves, but you can put like a marker on your master page indicating those areas. So there's a lot of good information in here. It kind of goes beyond some of the things that you'll need for the first project, but it's not a bad thing because I think it paints a comprehensive picture of how you can take the master page concept and really, work towards almost like a professional project, so to speak, which is what you're doing. I think it's a brochure piece of some kind. So that resource is very handy, and I highly recommend you take the time to get through it. If it requires you to sit down in a quiet room where there's no distractions, so that you can follow each step at a time, then that's what's required for you to get through it. Sometimes, if people get distracted along the way following through these lessons, they have to actually go all the way back and start over in a specific section because if you don't follow it from one to the finish, then you can get lost if you try and pick up there the next time you come back. So Just a suggestion as you're working on these lessons, if while you're working on them, you complete one specific area at once. So in other words, in this example here, modifying a parent master, if you're going to sit down and work on this, you want to work through 1 through 5 before you take a break or go and do something else and then come back. Don't try to stop in the middle of a section because you'll end up having to rework and do it over anyway to refresh your mind. A lot of times, for me, and especially students have told me that it's best to work that way. So this is a great resource. In addition, I believe you're also working in the early parts of the class on the chapter on flowing text, which is chapter 5. And this one is a little bit shorter of a chapter. It says 45 minutes here, so that shouldn't take you too long. And this is pretty important as well. Here's a picture of what you'll be creating in this chapter. And it talks about how to work with what we call in the industry body copy, which is basically this area right in through here. I can't select it, but this area with all the text that's smaller than 14 point, we call that in the industry body copy, where this area up here is referred to as headline. Okay, so you'll be working with, I believe you have some text files that they have you importing some copy into the document and how to manipulate and flow that text through a multi-page document. So it's pretty important stuff. You'll probably be using that also on the Type Phases book. So try to get that under your belt as well. So a great resource here in the textbook for the early part of the class. The other resource that I have for you in the classroom is this resource right here. And I'm going to go ahead and get to the beginning of this. And this is called the Computer Typography Basics PDF. And I've posted this in the classroom, and you could take a look at this. And it's very helpful in helping to identify the specific criteria that is assigned in the phases of your book. So as you start working on your book, you're going to create a set of master pages, and I'm going to go through all that with you. And then once you get all that finished and you're ready to start working on each individual page of your book, you're going to be looking at this list here of the phases, which are in a sense just like a chapter. So just think of each phase of the book as like a chapter of the book. In each one of these phases, you're required to work with specific typographic treatments. Like, for instance, in this first phase, you'll be working with alignment, justification, flush left, flush right, justified and centered copy, and controlling the letter spacing and the line spacing of the text. So that's all you can use for that particular phase. So if you're confused about exactly what that is, I've given you a reference, and that's what this Computer Typography Basics manual is for. And specifically, the pages that you want to look at for that first phase are pages 12 through 19, which kind of go over the different areas. So here's page alignment, um, page spacing and paragraph spacing and subheads. Um, Up here, a little ahead of that, character and word spacing is identified on the first couple of pages, 12 through 14. You have line spacing and leading and what that means and how to adjust that on pages 15 through 18. So I highly recommend that you use this manual as a tool for reference if you're stuck on what exactly is leading. What does she mean by word spacing? What's kerning? What's tracking? It gives you the definition of all those type treatments in this manual. So another great resource that I highly recommend everybody take a look at and sort of have next to them as they're working on their type phases book. So this concludes the two valuable resources I've made available in the classroom.